The Captain's Log Radio, with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. If you haven't noticed, there is a theme. I'm down here in Fort Lauderdale at the Bonefish Tarpon Trust, the 8th International Science Symposium. And we're going to have just a unique group of guests this week. We're going to talk with fishing guides, with scientists, with tournament anglers. And right now, I've got with me Dr. Jose, who is a shark doctor, a shark enthusiast, a shark scientist, right?
Shark scientist, yes.
All right. We're going to dive deeper into sharks. Sharks are awesome. They get a bad rap, you know. Sometimes I've got a joke. Depends on what my client, because I'm a full-time fishing guide on top of hosting a radio show and hosting a TV show. I'm busy. I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats. Usually it's the Florida Fishing Products hat, but I wear a lot of hats, right? And I've had clients all the time will ask me about alligators or sharks, okay? And I say, oh yeah, if they say sharks, yeah, they're in this water. That's how I lost my thumb. And I'll put my thumb behind my hand. I'll turn it over. And oh my goodness. Well, this one time I said that to a guy and he goes, no way, man.
Me
and
too.
Exactly. He stuck his hand up and he was legit missing his thumb. And Jesus. I was as red as this soda can, as this Coke can. And I was like, bro, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm deeply.
That's funny, but it's sad that he lost his hand. Did he tell you about it?
Well, of course. I was like, so tell me, how did you lose your thumb? And he's like, yeah, I lost it on a machine at work. It's amazing how little they pay you for workers' comp for losing a digit. And I'm like, bro, that's cool. But he was a good
so it wasn't a shark involved.
It wasn't a shark. Okay. No, it was a machine. But anyways, sharks. My favorite movie is Jaws.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I got a VHS. Remember that? VHS tapes, VCRs, yes. And you could actually record what was on TV onto a VHS. And my dad had recorded Jaws, but it was only like the second half of the movie. So I hadn't seen for years. I had never seen the first half. And then one day, like I was a little older and it came on TV and I was like, whoa, there's a whole lot more, right? So I was just loving it, right? But I have this movie memorized. I have the Jaws poster forever. I've been obsessed with sharks.
Yeah. I may disappoint a lot of people, but I don't watch Jaws that much. I'm not a huge fan, but I do remember having it's coming back actually. When I was, I think 5 years old, we were in one of these theme parks, and Jaws was a big thing.
So you're at Universal?
Yes. And I remember I was super excited, telling my parents, I want to go in. And my brother and my older cousin, they were almost crying, saying like, we don't want to go, we're scared. And I was saying like, I want to go in. As soon as we go in the boat, I was sitting close to the water, and Jaws comes out of the water, and I was crying like I don't want to be here. And they were like having a lot of fun. So I was scared by sharks when I was 5 a lot, but not a big fan really. I didn't watch that movie a lot. It's not something that a lot of shark scientists from that time were like motivated to study sharks because of that movie. I think my story is a little bit different. Like I wasn't influenced much by that. I don't know. Besides this funny story.
Well, let's get into your story. Where are you from? How did you get involved with BTT? And then let's talk about sharks.
So long story short, I'm from Ecuador. I don't know. I don't remember when I started loving sharks, but I grew up very close to the coast. And I think listening to these stories about sharks from fishermen, but not seeing actually sharks. I never saw sharks in the waters in Ecuador. So they became like a very mysterious species to me. So I think that's why I became very interested in the sharks. I was listening a lot about sharks, but not seeing them. So like, where are they? Like, why they are so mysterious? So I think that's why I became very interested in sharks. So then I studied marine biology. I moved overseas to Chile, then had some time in the Galapagos Islands studying, working with the government internships until I went to New Zealand to do my research, my PhD research on sharks. I was
Great whites?
I was studying black tip reef sharks and lemon sharks in French Polynesia. So I was based in New Zealand, but my research was in French Polynesia. So I will travel there for fieldwork. And I was studying nursery habitats.
You have lived in some beautiful places.
I have, yes, through science.
Yeah.
That's why I became a scientist.
Very cool.
Yes.
But sharks, it was always about sharks.
Always sharks, yeah. I've been studying sharks. In Chile, I study cat sharks that lay eggs in kelp forest. So it's been always sharks in my career. And then after New Zealand, I was studying these predator and prey interactions in these shark nurseries. And then I saw BTT was looking for someone to study this problem between fishers and sharks. And I thought, at this time of my career, I loved science, but I was also looking for something that had a direct impact in the community. So I saw BTT was actually having that impact in the community, doing science with the fishing guides, with the fishing community, for them to have a direct impact in the fishing industry. So I thought, I need to work here. And I love sharks. So I would love to give my knowledge to try to solve this shark depredation, at least in the Keys. So try to understand it.
Let's talk about that, because that's a hot topic. Sharks are, I'd say it, they're awesome. I mean, they are a top of the food chain predator. They are also a lot of fun to catch. I love catching sharks. They get a bad rap because they are eating the fish that you're trying to bring home, your groupers, your snappers. I talk with a lot of guys who are really upset at sharks. They want there to be more seasons and more time and more sharks that they can kill because they're getting out of control. Do you think they're getting out of control? What can we do? What is science showing us with the numbers of sharks right now?
Yeah. There's a lot of there's a big. People believe that this issue is because the populations there's like an overpopulation of sharks, and I understand this because they are having a lot of interactions now. In the U.S., there have been a lot of conservation efforts to protect sharks, and some of them have been very successful. And that have resulted in some of these populations to start recovering. Some of them have stabilized. That means that they are not declining in numbers anymore. But there's not in all of them, there's no evidence of this overpopulation. But what's happening is that now the sharks that are coming back, they're coming back in a completely different environment. It's not the same as 50 years ago. So even though we haven't come back to previous numbers of sharks and we're not in that overpopulation state, just this small recovery, is having a lot of issues because the environment has changed.
Yeah.
And there's more people out there fishing. So we are having these conflicts. And scientists have been talking about this for many years, warning that this shark conservation success is going to bring these interactions with humans because we are sharing the same environment. So
do you think that now that there's an increased number of anglers, that the sharks have now gotten programmed when they hear a motor running? Oh, that's a boat coming. That means food is coming. You think that's going on? Because I'm experiencing that. I guide in the Mosquito Lagoon in the northern portion of the Indian River Lagoon. And I experienced that with dolphins. I tell you, if they hear my boat coming, they hear that 90 Suzuki on the back pushing my kayak skiff across the flats, as soon as I turn off, there's dolphins around me because they know exactly what I'm doing. You think that's going on with the sharks?
For sure. And our data that we're collecting with BTT is suggesting that learning is playing an important role. It's a big driver of depredation right now. We know the sharks are very smart. In the Florida Keys, lemon sharks are one of the worst species that are causing most of the depredation. And there's plenty of research with lemon sharks in Florida, actually, from many years, showing how smart they are. They have long-term memories, and they can learn from each other. They're very social sharks. And then they learn very quickly. So when you give them this opportunity, when we go out fishing, when you catch a fish, what you're doing, how predation works is a sequence of events to actually get into capture. And that's how fishers fish as well. You need to locate the fish, find an area where there's fish, encounter those fish. You have to detect them, and then you have to capture that fish.
Right.
So it's a sequence of events that consumes energy. For us, it can be is money, it's fuel, how much traveling I make, how much I spend in the fishing gear that I use to detect the fish or catch the fish. For the sharks, it's energy. So when you have humans solving all those first steps, doing the search, detecting the fish, and catching the fish, is an easy meal. That's what everyone is saying, right?
Yeah.
An easy meal. So for the sharks, that's a great opportunity because it's very valuable, that prey item, because they don't spend energy. So as a predator, you will expect that they are going to learn that because it's the best option to catch prey.
Hey, when we get back, more with Dr. Jose Trujillo from BTT talking about sharks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back.
Anglers, unleash your passion with Florida fishing products. Our saltwater reels are built for every fight, from weekend casts to tournament triumphs. With lightweight strength, corrosion-proof seals, and ultra-smooth drags, FFP gear is trusted by pros to land more fish. To find out more, go to your local Florida Fishing Products dealer or visit us online at floridafishingproducts.com and gear up for epic battles today. Anglers, keep your catch alive and thriving with Fish Lung Gen 2 saltwater. This game-changing oxygen system pumps over 200% more dissolved oxygen into live wells, up to 50 gallons. Compact, saltwater ready, and easy to install. It's trusted by pros to ensure healthy fish and penalty-free weigh-ins. Visit fishlung.com to revolutionize your live well today.
Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio presented by Florida Fishing Products. Before we continue with Dr. Jose Trujillo from BTT, the Bonefish Tarpon Trust, I want to just remind you guys, hey, head on over, pull out your phone and head on over to social media, pull up Instagram, pull out Facebook, pull out YouTube, and tag and follow and subscribe to @the Captain's Log TV. I want to see what you're catching. I want to see what you're doing out on the water, how you're preparing to get out this weekend. @the Captain's Log TV. When you tag me, I can see your post, or if you want to send me a message and talk to me about what you guys are doing, how the fishing's been. I love getting those messages, and that starts. It doesn't happen unless you're following along with my adventures. Of course, you can watch all 7 seasons of the Captain's Log TV. We've got 70 episodes out on the Waypoint TV channel or the Waypoint app. It's free and downloadable on any device. And of course, you can head over to YouTube @the Captain's Log TV. You can subscribe to the channel. You can watch all the shows there. And you catch all of the latest Captain's Log Radio episodes there as well. And listening live on the Outdoor Radio Network, on Spotify, on iHeart, on the Waypoint Podcast Collective. There's so many options, so many places for you to consume this content. Jose, thanks for being here, buddy. Dr. Jose from the BTT, the Bonefish Tarpon Trust, we're talking about sharks. Now, BTT, Bonefish Tarpon Trust, sharks isn't it in the name, but sharks play a huge role in those fish. We talked about how, and it's funny, the last segment you were mentioning how energy is spent. These sharks are looking at us anglers as a way to minimize energy spent to get easy meals.
Exactly.
And when you're fishing in 3 feet of water, okay, these sharks, it's amazing how big these fish are and how shallow water these sharks are in for their size, and how they can maneuver and they can move along the flats undetected. They are very, very quiet, very stealthy. I was fishing in Key West with Captain Nicola Beatty. We were chasing the Key West slam of bonefish, permit, and tarpon all in one day, and we were on a permit spot. And Nick's like, "Man, I can't find a permit. There should be permit all over the spot." And all of a sudden, there's like a 12-foot hammerhead coming right at us. And I'm not kidding, bro. We're in 2 feet or water or less, and this thing is just right at the boat. And I remember Jack, my main film guy, was filming this, and this hammerhead, I mean, as fast as it could swim, kicking its tail right at our skiff. And as soon as it got to the boat, like did a complete 180. It was unbelievable. I thought he was going to run into my boat. I thought he was going to bite the side of my boat. It was unbelievable how strong and powerful these fish are. You mentioned lemon sharks.
And lemons. They love hunting in the flats.
In the flats. Well. My first shark on fly was in Isla Morada and was a lemon.
Okay. How big it was?
It wasn't very big. It was only about 3 feet long.
Okay. Yeah.
But
a juvenile?
A juvenile, yes. And I presented a fly to him with an 8-weight. In fact, a buddy of mine was with me, and he made several shots at these fish because we were looking for bones, we were looking for snook, we were looking for the occasional mangrove snapper on, because we were going to keep a couple snapper for tacos for dinner that night. And these sharks would come by, and I'm like, "Bro, here's your opportunity." And he would blow the shot, or he wouldn't get an eat. I'm like, 3 more shots, and then we're going to swap, and I'm going to catch one. And we swapped, and here comes one down the flat. I made this presentation to it. I brought that Clouser minnow right across. I tell you, everything eats a Clouser minnow. And it came right across his nose, and he didn't even think. You talk about not burning energy. The fish, this shark was just swimming and just opened its mouth and sucked it in and kept on going. And I came tight. And he pulled out the GoPro, was filming, and then he dropped it in the water. It was a big ordeal, but we got the fish to the boat.
We're talking about the lemon sharks.
The lemon shark.
Yeah, lemon sharks are not known for being like a very active and fast shark. It's not one of the fastest sharks. It's very agile though. So that allows them to go in very shallow waters and also to find fish in the mangroves. So they can maneuver. They're like ninjas that go in these places.
Well, that's exactly what we were doing. We're fishing the mangroves, and he just came right down and made that presentation. He ate it. It was awesome. But we were talking about how you hear a lot of guys, especially in the Everglades, losing a lot of fish to sharks. You see, there's a video that went viral a couple of years ago where this guy was releasing a fish, and he got bit by a shark. And I've got my thoughts on that. I release a lot of fish. It's very rare that someone's filming someone release a fish. Like usually I'm pulling it up for the gram, and here I am releasing the fish real quick because I love people seeing that, hey, we're doing everything we can to protect our fish. But man, for someone to get bit by a shark at the boat, that's pretty wild in the Everglades. So there is a number. There are coming back. We mentioned how some of these programs to manage these fish, these sharks, are working, and now we're seeing a bigger numbers. I think the same thing's happening with the Goliath grouper. You know, they've been closed for so long, and now they're coming back with a vengeance, right? And they're eating a lot of fish.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned that the shark that you caught earlier, it was a juvenile, is because one of the things that we found, and this is not new, like scientists knew this for a long time, but our data, we've been fishing lemon sharks in the Flamingo area to know which ones are depredating, and we only found juveniles in this area. So these lemon sharks are known to use nurseries. And the reason of doing this is because they're trying to escape from predators. And the biggest predators for small sharks are usually other big sharks, especially of the same species sometimes. So that's why we find in this area only juveniles. And at that stage of their life, they're learning to hunt. They're naive. So they need to learn how to hunt, to grow fast. The bigger you are, the less chances you have to be in a prey. So they need to learn how to hunt. So at this stage of life, they're going to take any opportunity, like a fish in a hook, to eat. So they're very opportunistic at this time of their life.
How fast do sharks grow? It does depend on the species.
It depends on the species. It depends on the habitat. I don't have a number, unfortunately. Sharks are very flexible in these lifestyles. We found that there's different growth rates in the same species depending on the habitats that they live. For example, in Bimini, that's been a place that lemon sharks have been studied for years. They are known to grow very slow because they are in a protected area, so they prefer to stay there, grow slow. There's no reason to become a big fish because I'm protected in these nurseries. And after some years, they leave these areas. But there's other habitats that they grow very fast. I don't have a number really, but usually like sharks in general grow very slowly and they reach maturity at a late age. For lemon sharks, they need 11 to 13 years to become adults. So that's why they don't do very well to fishing. Because you have a shark that needs 13 years to start producing, to be productive for the population.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about bull sharks. Bull sharks are the shark that I see the most in my area. They'll show up typically in March. We'll see our first influx of mullet. And as soon as that happens, as soon as I start seeing the mullet showing up, the sharks are there. And that's for a lot of clients of mine, like to catch a shark. I get a lot of phone calls to go catch sharks. I don't see the sharks often, but March, April, May, I see a lot of sharks. And in my area, they're all bull sharks. Are they the most aggressive shark?
They're one of the sharks that are considered to be more aggressive. They could be considered one of the most aggressive species, and it's the same story with the lemons. The bull sharks are also known to use these nurseries close to the coast, especially close to fresh water. That's the places where the juveniles go and hide, because when they are juveniles, they're able to use fresh water, and that separates them from the adults that are potential predators. And again, they are learning. They are at this stage. They are very opportunistic, so they need to be aggressive.
So maybe that's the right word. Maybe instead of aggressive, maybe they're just taking advantage of the opportunities. They're opportunistic. Maybe that's the right word.
Indeed. I think a lot of scientists are very cautious and conservationists to use the word aggression because we don't want to make people think that sharks are bad. But the reality is that these are wild animals. These are predators. So there's some level of aggression involved in there. But we need to think that these are wild animals. These are not humans. So we cannot blame them for behaving like that by calling them, okay, they are aggressive. They are, there's some level of aggression for sure. But they need to get food fast to grow and leave these areas and stop becoming prey. So that's why we have a lot of interactions with both lemon sharks and bull sharks, because we're fishing. Where are we fishing? In these coastal waters, close to the coast, in their habitats where they are trying to also catch prey. And if we give them the opportunity to catch something that probably they cannot catch on their own, catching a snook is not easy for a lemon sharks. And we know that lemon sharks normally they don't eat this type of prey. But if you give them the opportunity at that stage of their life that they're all over, let's say, aggressive and highly opportunistic, well, they're gonna take it.
Are sharks gonna eat barracudas?
Lemon sharks, no, they don't eat this. They're not known to eat barracudas.
And you think that's because the barracuda is real aggressive and a predator fish?
It's not an easy fish to catch. It's very fast for a lemon sharks. It's way too fast for a lemon shark. They rely more on small prey like toadfish, pinfish, mullet, that are easy to catch. Like they live more close to the bottom. They're small, slower.
Gotcha.
So they can catch it.
Gotcha.
A barracuda
Do
is
they
hard.
eat crustaceans?
Yes, two. Shrimps. I forgot what species, but they like shrimp and some small crabs.
I'm here at the BTT Symposium, the 8th International Science Symposium. We got Dr. Jose with me from BTT. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back.
Surfing, fishing, or crushing a triathlon? Waterman's high-performance sunscreen with Aqua Armor keeps you protected for 8 hours in water or sweat. Our sun care products are reef-friendly, fragrance-free, and won't run into your eyes. Engineered for athletes, it's sweat-proof and stays put, no matter the challenge. Trusted by pro surfers and lifeguards alike. Skip the burn at gowatermans.com. Watermans. Outlast the day.
Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. I've got with me today Dr. Jose Trujillo from the Bonefish Tarpon Trust. And Jose's focus is sharks. So we're talking sharks today. I love sharks. I've had a fascination with sharks since I was a kid. I told you at the beginning, from Jaws. Watching Jaws got me fascinated with sharks. I've got camera guys, I'm thinking about Sam in particular, who his passion is diving and filming underwater. And there's been times where I'm like, Sam, there's sharks swimming around the boat and you're in the water, and I don't want to call your mom and tell her you got eaten by a shark today. So you need to get in the boat, man. But he's fearless. He's fearless. So shout out to Sam for being fearless and being around the sharks. But I have a healthy respect for these things. I mean, they are powerful. So let's break down for people who don't know. I know a good bit about sharks. Yeah, I don't want to say that. I'm with a guy who's a doctor in sharks, right? So I'm not going to say that. But I know some stuff about sharks. But let's talk about sharks. Sharks 101. Let's talk to the audience, because I got listeners all over the country who don't have sharks anywhere near them other than maybe an aquarium. So let's talk about sharks. What are they made out of? Let's talk about how they, there's got some cool stuff that they have, something that we don't have, or we have something they don't have. Let's talk about that. But let's talk about the anatomy of sharks.
Sure, yeah. Sharks are fish, but they're separated from bony fish by the fact that their skeletons are not made out of bone. This is cartilage. So it's a very soft. It's what we have in our ears. It's a very soft tissue, cartilage. That's how their skeletons are made of. So that separates them from bony fish. And they're very ancient species. They've been here for millions of years, and they've been evolving for many years. So a very successful group of fish. There are about more than 1,000 species, including rays.
Rays are part of the shark family?
Part of the shark family, exactly.
Huh. Is that because rays are also all cartilage?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what puts them together, basically, in simple terms. And also what's fascinating about them, about their physiology, anatomy, and everything, is the different senses that they have. So they will have the same senses as us and other fish, vision, smell, taste, but also they are able to detect electrical fields, which is what makes them really cool and also separates them from many other species of bonefish.
Explain that.
So
what's in the water with an electrical field?
So basically, the sharks they have an organ that is called an ampullae of Lorenzini. So their heads are covered with these pores that can detect electrical fields in the water. So electrical fields that come from live fish, and they're able to detect this. And they use this for detecting prey and catching prey. So it's a very important sense for them.
Would that be similar to a lateral line in a fish?
No, a lateral line is a way of feeling sound. It's weird. So the lateral line evolved from the ear, and it's a way that fish can sense, feel sound. So sound in the water is going to move particles, and they can detect that particle movement with their lateral line.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different.
A little bit different.
Very
This
different.
is why, guys, when we talk about, being quiet on a boat, shutting hatches quietly, walking around like a ninja on a skiff. Think about you're in 2 feet or less of water chasing these fish on the flats. They feel that water movement. They feel those steps. They feel that hatch being slammed. Your guide just pulled you, or your friend just pulled you half a mile in shallow water, sometimes into the wind, to get to a group of tailing fish over here, and then you slam a hatch shut and they're gone, right? Or you drop. I was filming a TV show with Captain George Gods. This is years ago before I had the captain's log. Excuse me. And we had a group of tailing redfish in front of us, and George made a presentation, and I put the push pull between my legs, and I grabbed my fishing rod, and I went to make a presentation, and I just spread my legs just enough where the push pull fell out and hit the pulling platform, and all the fish just took off. And he looked at me, he's like, "Good job, dude, nice." I was like,
Yeah, because it's really cool that they can feel it. It's not that they hear it, but also they feel it. It may be weird for us as humans to understand that, because we don't feel sound, but they feel sound.
Think about when you go to a concert. I used to work with at a church with a group with middle school and high school students, and I had a group of kids that were deaf. Prescott and Timothy, I'm thinking these 2 kids, great kids. Man, this was like 20 years ago. It's forever ago. And we'd go to concerts, and they couldn't hear. They were deaf, and they would get right in front of the speakers, and people would be like, "What are you doing? It's gonna hurt your ears." And I'm deaf. They'd say they could talk and say they're deaf, but they could feel it.
Yeah,
That's
the
exactly
vibrations.
right. And
You feel the
that's how they got
vibrations.
the music. Oh, I love that. These fish are the same way. Now, you were talking about sharks are sensing this differently. One thing you see, you on the movies, and you hear fishermen. I'm thinking about Finding Nemo, and when Marlin. Might have been Marlin. I think he had blood coming out of his nose, and fish are friends, not food. And then all of a sudden the sharks go crazy because there's blood in the water. Do sharks act like that in natural wildlife?
Oh, so yeah, smells is also one of the most important senses for sharks, and they've been known for ages to use this sense of smell to find food, and their ability to smell particles in the water is amazing. Like, for many years, we believed that they were even better than other fish, than bonefish, but now we are learning that they are at the same level of other fish, but that doesn't mean they are good. They can detect very small quantities of any particle in the water through their smell. We as humans are unable to do that. And I think a good analogy for that will be dogs, that we all know. We know that dogs can detect many things, and we use them for detecting drugs in airports, to finding people.
I was just reading an
after
article about
earthquakes.
bloodhounds, how they can track for 150 miles, 1 cent.
Exactly, because their organs are highly sensitive to detect particles. Very similar in sharks. So they use that to find food. And it's not that they can only detect a lot of small quantities of a smell. They're able to track it, to track the source of that smell. So they will find food from kilometers away. If that smell disperses from a certain central point, the sharks are able to track down the source of that smell. So that's why it's really important for them, and that's why people say if you drop some blood in the water, they are gonna go crazy. It's not exactly like that, but they are highly sensitive. They are more attracted to lipids, like fats, oily fish. Oily fish is what makes them crazy, more than blood.
Really? So that's fascinating. So this past May, I was down in Marathon with my family, our first trip to the Keys with our kids. And now all my kids want to do is go to the Keys and go fishing. But my boys, I said, what do you want to catch while we're down there? Sharks, Dad. I want to catch sharks. They're fascinated with sharks. I want to catch sharks, Dad. So I took with me some ladyfish. I caught these ladyfish up here in the Mosquito Lagoon, brought them with me. I froze them, and then I chunked them up. And they're a very oily fish.
Yeah.
And so we chunked them up, first cast out. I put the rod, we were on the dock. I put the rod in the rod holder. I was like, all right, boys, I have no idea how long this is going to take. So let's give it, before I got finished telling them, we're going to wait, we're going to be patient. That reel's taken off, and we caught a shark. It was a nurse shark, but it was on an oily fish.
Yep.
So that's
they love that. Sense. They love that. I think a lot of fishermen that catch sharks, they know this. Like oily fish makes them crazy. I believe, I don't know much about it, but I believe this is basically saying this is a really good quality fish. It's more oil in it. There's more nutrients. It's like really good fish to eat. So.
Well, I tell you, these ladyfish they're oily. We've talked about that. They're great baits for a lot. I'm thinking redfish. I've caught redfish on ladyfish. I've caught speckled sea trout on ladyfish. I've caught tarpon on cut up ladyfish. Wow, right?
Yeah, it's the best bait.
It's a great.
We catch
bait.
all the lemon sharks for the project most of the time with ladyfish because we're fishing, just catching a lot of ladyfish, and it's a really good bait for the lemon sharks. They love it.
Love it. Okay. So if you're out there and you want to go fishing and you want to target some of these sharks, get you something oily. Go to the bait shop and ask if they have ladyfish. Ask if they have some like menhaden. Ask if they have something that's got a lot of oil in it, and then create your chum or chunk that out in a big chunk. Of course, I'm a big fan of using circle hooks with sharks. They're going to grab it. They're going to take off. It's going to get hooked in the corner of their mouth. Makes it easier for you to take them off. Makes it easier for you for handling. And then think about handling. Like sharks have a lot of teeth. So having a hook removal tool, all right, that allows you to put some distance between yourself and that fish's mouth, that shark's mouth, is huge. That's a huge deal. I don't want anybody losing any fingers. I know we were joking about it earlier, but I don't want losing any fingers. Hey, listen, we got more to talk about. We got one more segment right here on the Captain's Log Radio.
This is the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss. We'll be right back.
Elevate your boat's shine with Stark Yacht Care. Our premium marine-grade compounds, polishes, and ceramic coatings deliver strength, durability, and a flawless finish. Trusted by pros for easy application and long-lasting protection. Based in Fort Myers, Florida, Stark redefines boat maintenance. Check out the entire lineup of Stark products. Visit starkyachtcare.com or visit one of the Marine Detail Supply Company locations today.
Florida's wild spaces are calling. At All Florida, we're hikers, hunters, anglers, and artists united to shape a future where our woods, waters, and wildlife thrive. We show up at every meeting advocating for smart conservation and sustainable growth. Join us at allfla.org to protect Florida's natural treasures for generations. Be part of our community. Stand up for Wild Florida.
Welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Hey, welcome back to the Captain's Log Radio. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. We've had an incredible conversation, diving deep into sharks, a fascination of mine since I was a little kid, all starting from the movie Jaws. But I've got a shark expert with me, Dr. Jose Trujillo from the BTT, the Bonefish Tarpon Trust. And we've had a great conversation on sharks, predation, management, ways to catch them, handling. Let's get a little bit deeper as we're in this last segment. Jose, tell me, first off, what's your favorite shark?
That will be the oceanic white tip shark. Carcharinus longimanus is the scientific name. Is a beautiful shark, awesome shark. As the name says, oceanic. So it lives in offshore, far from the coast, in the open ocean, in the blue ocean. And I believe it's a beautiful shark. There's a lot of mythology behind it. So that's why it's my favorite shark.
One of the closest experiences I had with a big shark, I was with my dad and a family friend fishing offshore in the Gulf, west coast of Florida, catching red grouper. And we were catching a lot of line burners. At the time, they had to be 20 inches to keep it, the red grouper. I'm not sure what the regulation is now. I think that bumped up to 24 inches, but don't quote me on that. But at the time, they were 20 inches. And so we had caught several over 20, and we caught several like right at like 19 and a half. And we kept throwing them back because we can't keep them. And we're on like a 16-foot Boston whaler. We're not on a big boat. Had like a 90 Yamaha on the back, like not a big boat. And we're like 20 miles offshore. And my dad loves to bass fish. Like that's his thing. You can see the land. If something happens, there's a boat dock right there. You can go grab somebody if something happens. But we're way out. Can't see land. We're throwing these fish back. And all of a sudden we threw one back, and this tiger shark that was probably 12 feet long comes up beside the boat. Like I could have given it a high five.
That's a big
And I
shark.
yelled at my dad. I was like, "Bob, look at the water." And he goes, "Whoa." And the thing in a second was gone. Kicked his tail and was gone. He came up to grab a fish and then took off.
Wow.
So these sharks, we had talked about part of your fascination as a child was how mysterious they are.
Yeah.
How they can thrive out in the ocean. You had mentioned, I heard you talking to someone else earlier about how they are out in what's like the desert. The ocean's like there's just not structure everywhere in the ocean. And yet these fish are moving. They're migrating. Do sharks sleep?
That's actually a really great question. I don't think we know much about sleeping sharks. I don't think they sleep in the same way mammals do. There's probably resting periods. We know some sharks have resting periods. Good example of that is the reef, white-tip reef shark. The sharks that lay in the bottom and rest. Lemon sharks can rest in the bottom as well. So we know some sharks have resting periods during the day.
Nurse sharks are always on the bottom.
That's a resting period.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know if they're actually sleeping in the same way a mammal is sleeping, but there are definitely periods of less activity for them.
Do you think that these sharks migrate a long distance, or do you think they spend the majority of their life in one region?
Which species? We're talking about
Any sharks.
That's completely different on the species.
Depends on the species.
North sharks, for example, are known to be they don't move much. In general terms, they're very local. They stick to a reef. They don't disperse that much most of the time. They can do some migrations. Lemon sharks also, for example, when they are very young, this is what we call side fidelity. So they stick to the same place for many years. They don't move too far away from that habitat during their first years of life. When they become adults, they are known to migrate. For example, in Florida, we know that the big lemon sharks, they migrate from the Keys all the way up to North Carolina, I believe. They can get that far, but that would be the biggest lemon sharks. So adults are usually the ones that move more. When they're young, they stick to an area.
I don't know if there's science behind this or if there's been any kind of tracking, but I believe that the big hammerheads are following the tarpon migration up the coast. I think they're chasing the tarpon down at Bahia Honda, down in the Keys. And then as these tarpon migrate up the west coast of Florida and they go up to Boca Grande, I think you're seeing the same attacks from these hammerheads on these tarpon are probably the same sharks chasing them. I can't prove it. I don't have any data there, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, great hammerhead sharks are actually species that are known to move a lot, to migrate a lot, and a lot of these migrations are related to hunting grounds. So they move from hunting grounds, from one hunting ground to another. And in Boca Grande, actually, in Bahia Honda, like in the Florida Keys, in this part of the breaches where there's a lot of tarpon. There a few scientists already study this relationship between great hammerheads and tarpon, and they found that they timed their arrival with the aggregation of tarpon. We believe they do this because they're tracking them to hunt them and eat tarpon. But yeah, there's evidence that shows that they're following the tarpon to these breaches.
I think the same thing happens on the flats. I've talked about this in the past. You start the more, and this is why I'm telling you, this is why the name of the show is the Captain's Log. It is so important that you are keeping track of your fishing trips. You're looking at the weather, you're looking at the tides, you're looking at the baits, you're looking at the cloud coverage, you're looking at the moon phase, you're writing this information down, and then you will see that these fish will be in the same spots year after year doing the same thing. And these fish are figuring it out on their own. They don't have a captain's log, but they're figuring it out on their own. And if we are paying attention, I've talked about senses. Fishing is more than just getting lucky. It's really using your senses and paying attention to what baits are around, what's going on, what kind of life is in front of you. If you're thinking through what you're doing, you're processing it, you're using critical thinking, you're going to pattern out these fish to that. Now next year when I go to this specific spot, like I'm already thinking about where I'm going to fish next week. I'm going to be guiding that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week on the Mosquito Lagoon. I already know where I'm going to go, and I haven't fished it in months. I've been fishing the river. Yeah. Because every year at this time, they stage up at this spot and this spot and this spot.
Yeah.
And these sharks are doing the same thing.
That's what a predator does. We are predators as humans.
Yes.
We are a predator, and we are learning what our prey is doing so we can hunt it. The same way any other predator does in the wild. And that's why fishermen are great at doing this. They're awesome. You're collecting all this information and learning. And that's why BTT works with them. Like BTT works through a co-production approach. And we partner with fishing guides and the fishing community, we as scientists, and we learn from them. This is very valuable local knowledge from fishers that have been collecting this information for years.
Let's say that one more time, because I can't tell you how many people have told me, man, I get so annoyed when I get stopped about a survey. FWC is there at the boat ramp and they want to know where I was fishing and and I get all mad about it. No, say that again.
Yeah, we in BTT, we believe this is expert information. Like you guys are out there most of the time collecting this information through experience and observation. And what we are doing as scientists in BTT is collecting different information and doing all the work for you and analyzing this, doing all the statistics, all the boring stuff, all the science part, to understand and see patterns on this data that you give us. So we learn, this is called local knowledge, and we learn from that local knowledge to understand what are emerging threats to the fisheries and what do we need to do in science. So that's why we call this a co-production approach. We're collecting that information, understanding what's happening, understanding that reality out there, and using that to plan our science projects.
Think about if they're at the dock and they're able to interview 10 guides and 10, I'm just using easy numbers, and then 10 different recreational anglers. That's 20 boats, 20 different days, 20 different experiences that they can collect in one day. Whereas if scientists needed to go out and collect this data, that's 20 actual days they'd have to be able to go fishing. Whereas instead they can talk to 20 different people. So this is huge. If you want to improve your estuary, which I do. I don't care. I care about my clients and I want them to have the utmost experience. But my heart and passion is my kids. I want my kids to experience fishing way better than I ever experienced. I want them to experience clean water and abundant fisheries and estuaries and healthy estuaries. I want them to experience that. And that starts with us collecting the data.
Exactly.
So when you have those opportunities, please share, because guys like Jose are using that to help then do science projects, to then go to FWC and make presentations. And that's where these different rules and regulations change. We've got 45 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, talk to your local NGO, talk to organizations like Bonefish and Tarpon Trust. The information that you have is very valuable for us, and that help us plan conservation and have a better conservation plan.
Absolutely. I'm connected with Travis Thompson, with All Florida. There are so many different organizations. You've got Bonefish Tarpon Trust. There's so many that you can get involved with in your local area. These All Florida and BTT are focused a lot in Florida. But if you're somewhere else, look into organizations that are doing work in your area to help with conservation and help manage your fish and create a better estuary for the future generations. Jose, thanks so much for being here, man. It's been a pleasure talking sharks with you. I'm Captain Jonathan Moss. This is the Captain's Log Radio. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to the Captain's Log Radio with your host, Captain Jonathan Moss.
Did you catch a trophy yellowfin or gator trout? New Wave Taxidermy crafts museum-quality fiberglass replica mounts. Handcrafted in Stuart, Florida for over 40 years with lifelike details like hand-painted glass eyes, intricate scales, and even custom bases. Visit newwavetaxidermy.com to see stunning showroom displays. New Wave Taxidermy, preserve the thrill forever.